Hi guys, hope you're well. This is just an update on the Terminators from my Detol video. If you haven't seen it, then I'll put a link below so you can have a watch of that. These guys, when I first obviously put them into Detol, I couldn't separate the torsos from the legs. So the torso part of the bodies on most of them couldn't be moved at all in the slightest. So I kind of was stuck with the positions and the sort of poses that I had for the torsos. So what I've essentially done with the whole squad is try and put as much sort of movement and pose in the arms to give them a bit more sort of dynamic of a look, if that makes sense. So we'll start from left to right. We'll go with the assault cannon guy first of all. This guy, the problem I had with him is that his torso, the head, I had to cut the head out, and as a result of that, from trying to rebuild him after the stripping of the paint, what's happened is I actually had to cut off the front of the torso completely. Luckily, I had another one, but it did actually damage part of the top part of the leg, so I've had to cover that up with a bit of a banner, which is what I've done. To give him some momentum, the arm has been pinned further out than it needs to be, than it would go, and I'm going to green stuff in there some plasteel armour, with some webbed plasteel armour just to go across that gap, so that won't be there, and I'll show you in another update video. Obviously he's got an assault cannon, going to have to drill that all out, which is what has got to be done to him. And he had a new head put in as well, obviously, because I cut the original head out just to try and actually get it, because it was damaged. So that's the assault cannon guy. Next guy in the squad is just a regular Terminator. What I've done with him is, again, the pose, the torso wise, I couldn't do anything with the torso because it was stuck in place and there was no way of removing it. The guy who had owned these before, I think he must use the strongest glue he can buy. The arms have been pinned further out, and what I've tried to do is give him a bit of a menacing sort of pose as if he started moving forward. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the cover from Space Hulk. I can't remember which edition it is, but it's one of the editions. And that's what I've done really with this guy. I drilled out the storm bolter, and he needs sort of green stuff in the gaps, as you can see where he's been pinned. On the back as well, you can see there's a bit of a gap, so I've got to just green stuff that, but he looks like he's moving forward, and he's a bit menacing, so that's what I've tried to do with this guy. Moving on to the sergeant. The sergeant itself, the pose, the torso is aimed quite low, like he looks like he's quite positioned forward, which is a bit of a problem, so I couldn't really try and do much with the pose. So what I've done is try and make it look like he's about to thrust with a sword and stab with a sword, as if he's turning and sort of about to thrust with that. Again, it's involved pinning the arm quite heavily. As you can see, it's left quite a big gap at the back of the Terminator, which has got to be green stuffed. Now, if you do see any mould lines, these aren't what I've missed. Obviously these haven't been taken off from the previous owner of these models, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get them all cleaned up and get all the mould lines off and anything else that's not supposed to be there. It's just a case of assembly at the moment, and that's why I'm trying to get them to look right, because obviously the torsos were stuck in place. It's a bit difficult to try and get a decent pose with them, and that's what I'm trying to do. Next guy, just another regular Terminator. So what I've done with him is extended the arm out a little bit. As you can see, I've pinned that arm so it looks a bit further. Just looks like the top of half of him, the torso, is actually swiveling or turning as if he's looking for a target or something. So that's what I've tried to do with this guy. Aside from that, nothing else. He's going to need green stuff like all the other guys, and they all will need it. And the last guy, moving on, is probably my favourite pose that I've got so far. He looks like he's either trying to spud someone or punch them, which is what I've originally tried to get it to look like, as if he's about to swing with it. He's swinging with a power fist to hit something, and that's what I've tried to do with this one. Needs green stuff in the gaps. You can see both the arms have been pinned, just because where all the arms are removed on all of these prior to stripping, I couldn't remove them, so I had to actually cut them off. If you have a look at the previous video in the Detol video, you'll see just how good Detol is at taking off paint. It stripped these down to basically the plastic. A little bit of black still in the detail, but that won't be noticed once they're sprayed up. So let me know what you think about the poses, guys. Please bear in mind, obviously, that any mould lines or anything like that, I haven't missed them. It's just a case of them being left on from the previous owner. Other than that, if you like the poses, please let me know. If you don't like the poses, please let me know. Please bear in mind, obviously, as I said, the torsos were stuck in place and I couldn't change them. But as always, please subscribe to the channel, as I appreciate it very much. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.